university, unique in several ways, and all of us here today are blessed to be part of it. And the university has also been blessed in having people of quality, integrity, and achievement ready to give their time and talent to the university by serving on the University Council. Two of them are here today and rightly receiving honorary degrees in recognition of their contribution, Jeff Turnbull and my good friend John Evans. Earlier on, seeing them together, I described them as the Ant and Dec of the University of Chester. They were not amused, because their contribution is rather more profound than that. But as you will see when you see them, they are very attractive men. As you know, because the chaplain was reminding us, the university was founded as the Chester Diocesan Training College back in 1839 by a distinguished group of leading figures in the Church of England. It was the United Kingdom's first purpose-built teacher training college, which makes it one of the longest established higher education institutions in the country. I mention the Church of England as part of the university's heritage, not only because we're here in this great Anglican cathedral, not only because theology is one of the subjects that we will be celebrating the honours and awards for later, but also because recently I've been writing a book about happiness, exploring the subject of happiness. Who gets to be happy, how and why? And one of the people whose work I've been reading is Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology. Jung was of the view that to be happy, you needed a philosophy of life, such as of faith. It did not have to be a faith, but in his long experience, people with a faith were happier than those without. Jung also observed that happy people were interested in the world around them. They were people who looked up and out, rather than down and in. Another famous psychologist, Sigmund Freud, said something interesting about happiness too. He said that to be happy, you need to love and to work. Well, I hope you will always have friends and family to love, and I hope you will always have good work to do. Equipped with the degrees and awards you're receiving today, I'm hoping you feel well placed to embark on happy and successful lives. Talking yesterday with the president of the Students' Union here at the University of Chester, she mentioned to me that this past year there have been moments of stress and she didn't wish to be too stressed in what she was doing. And I paused and said, well, I'm not so sure you're right. Don't avoid too much stress. Stress actually can be good for you. She looked a bit puzzled at that. Well, when I began exploring this subject of happiness a few years ago, I met a remarkable man, Dr. Anthony Clare. He was Professor of Clinical Psychiatry at Trinity College, Dublin, and Medical Director of St. Patrick's Hospital in Dublin. You may remember him, or certainly your parents may, as the presenter of a program called In the Psychiatrist's Chair on the radio on Sunday mornings. Well, I went to see him in Dublin, and I said to him, Dr. Clare, I'm looking for the elixir of happiness. And he said, well, it's an elixir you're after. Dublin's not a bad place to start. And I said, no, I'm serious. I want to know about happiness. And I slipped into the psychiatrist's chair. And I suppose inevitably, when you are in the psychiatrist's chair, you begin by talking about your parents. And I asked Dr. Clare this, I said, why is it that my parents always talked about the Second World War as the happiest time of their lives? My mother, during the Second World War, she was living in London, bombs were falling, she was bringing up my older sisters, they were babies, bombs were falling, but she talked about it as the happiest time of her life. And my father, for 6 years during the Second World War, he was in the army, on the front line, risking his life. The soldiers, the sailors, the airmen, and women during the Second World War, on a daily basis, they were risking their lives. Yet my father talked of this time as the happiest time of his life. I said, why do so many people of that generation, my parents' generation, your grandparents' and great-grandparents' generation, why do they often talk about the war as the happiest time of their lives? And Dr. Clare said that's quite easy to explain. Someone like your mother, yes, she was in London, bombs were falling, but there was a sense of community, a sense of shared purpose, of common values. And that sense of community makes people very happy indeed. And certainly, your father for 6 years, he was risking his life. The soldiers, the sailors, the airmen, they did risk their lives on a daily basis during the Second World War. But throughout the war, they've also been tested. And all the research shows, he said, that being tested is a key element to finding happiness. Being challenged, being tested, makes you happy. He said, you very rarely find people sitting about not doing very much who are happy. An engagement with life is essential to being happy. And I come here, of course, and if you're happy, as I think many of you seem to be from what I've known of you, speaking to you from your years here, if Dr. Clare is right, and all the research suggests it is, it's partly because you've been part of a community with a shared spirit, with common values, this university, shared aspirations, a commitment to education for service. And while you've been here, you have been tested, you have been challenged. This has been a challenging experience. Challenge, it seems, is essential to a happy life. So don't be